Andy Katz here for Fox Sports with a reaction to more than 30 teams that are now on pause as a result of positive COVID-19 cases. This has resulted in postponements, cancellations, and forfeits. Notable games that weren't played over the weekend: Ohio State and UCLA could not play in the CBS Sports Classic in Las Vegas. Without those two schools, there was only one game, Kentucky and North Carolina. They weren't supposed to play each other. Maybe a better matchup for Kentucky going against Carolina than Ohio State. They destroyed the Tar Heels, got confidence now after losing at the buzzer to Notre Dame. But still, Ohio State, UCLA missed out on an opportunity. Memphis, big miss not getting a chance against Tennessee in Nashville. Memphis was coming off a win against Alabama. It looked like the Tigers had finally righted themselves. They beat Tennessee. That certainly would have helped their case going forward, because in the American, outside of Houston, they may not have as many opportunities. A game that was supposed to be played this week that won't involves Alabama and Colorado State. Colorado State on pause, undefeated. Can't go down to Birmingham to play Alabama. Had they defeated the Tide just up the road from Tuscaloosa, that would have been a major win for Colorado State and its overall ranking. Now, these games that weren't played have no effect on the selection committee, the net ranking, KenPom, you name it. They just didn't happen. The problem is the conference games. We've already had forfeitures in the Big East and the Pac-12. The forfeit rule was originally put in essentially to force teams to get vaccinated, almost shame them into it. Make sure that they get vaccinated, because if they didn't, and it was their fault that they couldn't play the game, then they would suffer the forfeit. But things have changed. The majority of these teams are vaccinated. Maybe they have one or two players who aren't. They may not all be boosted, and most of them aren't, but there are breakthrough cases with 2 shots. So these conferences, this is not an NCAA thing, these are conference rules that were put in for this season, really need to look again at the forfeit policy. Yes, it was agreed to before, but as we've seen, Omicron has changed the game. The virus keeps changing, the rules should keep changing. It probably is no longer fair to shift a forfeiture on a school that was mostly vaccinated and couldn't avoid getting COVID-19 positives. What does it mean? It will affect seeding in a conference tournament, ultimately the standings. And that could have a collateral effect on where a team finishes in their tournament and in the regular season for potential seeding in the NCAA tournament. It won't affect selection, but it could affect seeding by the virtue of these teams having losses, forfeitures that certainly were out of their control.